our group 1 presenter who will do the presentation. Okay, so it would be nice to prepare, okay, from, so I hope to see your presentation next week. And would you need something support from me, okay, from me for the group work, please you can send message to my chat box. Okay, I will try to solve the problem for you. So now, to save time, let me jump into our lecture. So in our last meeting last week, we spent time talking about the balance of payment, right? And we learned that the balance of payment is one of the very important piece of information because it tells us about the financial situation of a country. By looking at the balance of payment of a country, we can know whether the country is exporting more than its import, it receives the income transfer, either the primary income or the secondary incomes, more or less than its transfer out of the countries. So we can have that kind of information. Moreover, we can know whether we are actually receiving more foreign investment, or do we have to sell, okay, or our asset in the country is being owned by the foreigner more or less, comparing to whether our people can earn or own the foreign asset overseas. Okay, such kind of piece information is available in the balance of payments. Okay, so before you want to make investment in a country, okay, perhaps you want to do business in that country, or maybe you want to do the import and export, okay, with that country. Perhaps you need to see this balance of payment, okay, balance of payments, because the balance of payment would tell you whether the country financial situation is so good or so bad for you, okay, for your decision to do the investment or trade with the country or inside the countries. Okay, so that's what we have. And last time we conclude that because the approach that being used to record information in the balance of payment using the double entry bookkeeping, okay, the credit and the debit. So we know that if we add the balance, okay, if we add the balance, as you can see here, okay, the balance in each account, we will see that the it will be equaling to 0, because if you try to add up all the credit and the debit, it will be equals, okay, because every transaction is being recorded twice. One go to the debit, the other go to the credit. So if you try to add them up, okay, credit must equal debit, and if you subtract it, it must be 0. Okay, that is the thing we learned last week. Today, what I want to talk about is that we will be looking at one of the very element in the financial account. Remember last week that the financial, in the balance of payment, we have 3 big accounts, right? We have the current accounts, we have the capital account, and the financial account, right? And we already learned what kind of transaction international transaction that will be recorded in each account. Okay, so the element that we will talk today is called the official reserve transactions. Okay, official reserve transactions. So this is the kind of transaction that is being being bought and sold by the central bank. Okay, so this is a specific transaction performed by the central bank of each country. Okay, we call that the official reserve transactions. So first, let me define what exactly is the central bank. The central bank is the institution that responsible for the managing of the money supply and such as printing money, okay, influence interest rate or regulate the exchange rate. Okay, so it's one of the you can think of like a country a bank. Okay, the bank that regulate all the money in the countries. Okay, so generally in one country you have only one central bank. For example, in Cambodia we have the National Bank of Cambodia. Okay, and in China you may have the People Republic uh, Bank of China. Okay, or in the US you may have the this is in Cambodia. In US we may have the Federal Reserve. Okay, we call that the US Central Bank. Okay, Federal Reserve, or we call that Fed for short. Okay, so only the central bank can print money. Okay, the other bank in the country, the commercial bank, cannot print the money. Okay, so because of that, central bank can make the money grow bigger in the economy. It can also make the money smaller in the economy. Okay, if it want to. Okay, so that is the central bank. And what is the reserve? Okay, so reserve, we call that generally the reserve. When you hear the word reserve in the international finance, it referring to the official international reserve. Okay, so what is that official international reserve? It's a kind of the foreign asset that is being held by the central bank as a cushion against the national economics misfortune. Okay, so the central bank need to have the this kind of reserve. Okay, this foreign asset reserve, so that they can try to stabilize the economy. Okay, generally this official international reserve, it can be in many forms. It could be in foreign currency. Okay, foreign currency. Okay, or it could be any kind of it could be gold, it could be something that you can convert into foreign currency easily. Okay, that is called the official international reserve. For the case of Cambodia, generally the reserve would be, the official reserve would be in the US dollar. Okay, US dollar. Okay, so one of the benefit of having this reserve is that the central bank can regulate. Okay, it can influence the price of US dollar. It can make the dollar cheaper, or it can make US dollar become expensive, which regarding to the Cambodian riel. Okay, for example, if the central bank want to make US dollar cheaper, let's say $1 is 4,000 and 200. Okay, 200 reals. But the central bank want the US dollar to become much cheaper. So $1 equals 4,200. I mean that if you want to buy $1, you need to pay 4,200 real. You have to go to the bank or Olympic market and you pay 4,200 real to get $1. Okay, and that is the price for the US dollar, and that is the exchange rate. But let's say that the central bank want to make dollar cheaper. Let's say it want the dollar to be $1 4,000 real. Okay, so so the central bank is trying to make dollar become cheaper. Okay, so how could it do it? One way to do is that to sell the US dollar reserve. Okay, so the central bank may announce, they make announcement that we are going to sell US dollar at a price of $1 equal 4,000 real. Okay, so people are looking at the exchange rate on the market, and they found that if you buy the dollar from the central bank, you can buy much cheaper price. Okay, so everybody would want to buy that. Okay, so if the central bank have a lot of US dollar reserve, it can make dollar cheaper. Okay, so that's how the official international reserve is being used by the central bank. In today's world, many of the central bank in the world try to accumulate. Okay, they try to accumulate the official international reserve. So the more they have of this reserve, I mean the bigger power they can have to influence the exchange rate. Okay, or their own currency in the international currency market. Okay, for example, China is one of the have its central bank have a very huge amount of US dollar reserve and foreign reserve, so it can influence the exchange rate. Okay, that's why the US always accuse China that trying to influence its own currency. Okay, so that is the I think we will talk more about these interventions in detail in a subsequent chapter. But for the time being now, I think it's enough to say that the official reserve is quite important. It key role for the central bank to influence the exchange rate. Okay, the exchange rate. So that is the thing. Okay, you need to know about the official reserve. Okay, for the official reserve exchange interventions in the balance of payment, we will record in this way. Okay, so generally the central bank would buy or sell this reserve in the private asset market in order to stabilize exchange rate. That's what I've just talked a minute ago. Okay, the central bank can influence, they can intervene to stabilize exchange rate. Okay, to make dollar cheaper or more expensive. So whenever the home central bank sell foreign asset, okay, when it sell the foreign reserve out, we record as the credit to mean that reserve loss. Okay, we lost the reserve. Okay, so for example, when the central bank of Philippines buy the our foreign reserve, we will record as the credit its reserve loss. And when our central bank buy foreign reserve, okay, so we accumulate more reserve, foreign reserve, okay, which is good for our country, for our central bank, because we can have more reserve. So we will record as the debit or the minus sign to mean that reserve gain. Okay, this is quite similar to when we make payment. Remember last time we talked about the when you make payment. Okay, the money is being owned, okay, by the foreigner. When you buy something, okay, your money will be owned by the foreigner. Okay, however, when you sell something, you will own the foreign asset. Okay, so we record as the credit. So would you have any question regarding this slide? Please let me know.
Sure, I have a question, sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Sure, like if we
Udom.
sell foreign reserve to another country, so we credit, right, sir?
Can I have your question again?
We sell foreign reserve to another country, we credit, right, sir?
Well, when the foreigner actually buy, okay, let's say the Central Bank of Philippines, okay, they buy the US dollar from our central bank NBC, okay. So in other words, we are sell. In this case, we're recording as the credit, okay, a plus.
Sure. So
Why?
if we record this credit, which
Yes,
account we record debit, sir?
it means that the reserve that is being existing and at our central bank is now being owned, okay, being owned by the Philippine central bank. It just keep inside our countries. So we record that as a credit or plus to mean reserve loss. We lost the reserve because we sell it to the foreign central bank. Okay. Dom, is that?
Yes, sir. But when there is credit, there should be debit, right, sir?
Yes, there will be another transaction will be recording in the credit. Okay. In return, you may earn something. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to ask what can be earned from that selling of reserve like that, sir?
Well, for example, when if you sell the US dollar, for example, okay, maybe you can get the other currency back, okay, for example, okay, in return, or maybe uh, you can actually earn for example, the the government bond of that country, or uh, it could be any other kind of asset, okay, that you must get something in return, okay, when the central bank sell, okay, the uh, the reserve that it have to the foreigner, or it have to buy the foreign reserve from the other foreign central bank. Okay, so remember that always there is the double entry bookkeeping. Okay, so uh, you have to record it twice. Okay, so is that okay, Udon?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other thing you need clarifications? Visal and Sok Visal, are you there?
Yes, sure. No,
Okay.
sir, I don't have any question there.
Generally, if you can think, okay, that when we buy the foreign reserve, okay, let's say you need to pay with something, right? So in this case, what you get is that you will print your currency, okay, and then you use this to buy the US dollar, for example, case of our NBC, okay. So in other words, we are losing our real, but in return, we get the US dollar, okay. On the opposite, when you sell the uh, the foreign reserve, okay, to the uh, the the foreign, I mean the foreign central bank, what you get is that you lose, okay, you lose your foreign reserve, but in return you get back your Cambodian real, okay, because uh, they have to convert that into Cambodian real, because in order to buy this the US dollar from our central bank, okay. So there are the uh, transaction is being recorded twice. One, you record in the amount of the Cambodian real that increase, okay, when you use it to when you sell your foreign reserve to the foreign central bank, okay, and on the opposite case, when you buy the foreign reserve like US dollar from the central bank, then you would have to lose, okay, your some of your home currency. It means that your home currency would increase. The Cambodian real in the economy would increase. Okay, so that is the counter account. Okay, that is one go to the debit, one go to the credit, and that may respond to the question of Udom. Okay, Udom. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
When you buy it, you lose. I mean, generally, the central bank of each country want to own the US dollar. Okay, because it's one of the international currency. Okay, so they always peg their currency to the US dollar. Okay, and the more the central bank of each country have dollar, the more power they can regulate the exchange rate of their own currency and US dollar. Okay, so they want to do some kind of trading with other central bank by trying to accumulate, okay, more of the US dollar. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Darlene, Darlene, are you there?
No, teacher.
Okay, so I think you may got the point from this slide. So the key message is that the international reserve, which mostly are in the form of US dollar, are one of the very important ingredients, okay, for the central bank of each country in trying to influence the exchange rate. Okay, we will talk more about this in mechanism of how they intervene in the subsequent chapter. Okay, don't worry. When we will talk more about the role of central bank later. But for the moment, what you need to remember is that it's one of the very important asset. Okay, that each central bank in each country always want to accumulate it. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So the next slide is just the brief review of the balance of payment. And so the level of the net central bank financial flow, official reserve, is called the official settlement balance. Okay, in a less formal language, we call it the balance of payments. Okay, so when you hear the word official settlement balance or balance of payment, it referring to the net difference. Okay, the word net. Okay, the net here. Okay, the net here. So the word net means the difference between the outflow and inflow of the official reserve. Okay, so during the year, our central bank like NBC may purchase some of the US dollar. Okay, the foreign reserve, but it may also sell some of these official reserve. Okay, if you try to get the balance, you need to take the difference, okay, between the inflows and the outflow of the official reserve, and that balance is called the official settlement balance. Okay, that's the language, the keyword be referring to the balance for the official reserve account. Okay, so here I just write the equation again. Okay, so now I have the this is one is the current account, which we already learned. It's the balance in the current accounts, and if we plus it with the balance in the capital accounts, and we remember we have the financial account, right? But now I split the financial account into two. Okay, so this one is the non-reserve financial balance. Okay, so something that is not in the financial account, okay, but it's not being carried by the central bank. Okay, it's not about central bank sell and buy foreign reserve. Okay, those things are including in the non-reserve financial balance. Okay, so if we add them up, okay, it would be equaling to the official settlement balance. Okay, the balance that is being carried by the central bank. Okay, so if this part is become let's say credit, okay, a minus, okay, so you know that this one would become the again, okay, also this is must be minus, because it have to add up equaling to 0. Okay, when you add them up, it would be equaling to 0. Okay, so this one would be plus, because when you try to add them up, it will be 0. Okay, remember what we had last time. So I just split, okay, I just split the financial account into two sub account. Okay, the one that is carried by the central bank and the other which is not carried out by the central bank. Okay, so if the balance is negative, okay, or deficit, it may signal a crisis, for it means that the country is running down its international reserve asset, okay, or insuring debt to foreign monetary authority. Okay, so whenever you have this minus, okay, this one is minus, okay, this one is the deficit, okay, minus, it means that most of the central bank reserve asset is being owned by the foreign central bank, okay, and the country is losing its international reserve. And remember, the international reserve is one of the important element, okay, in regulating exchange rate. If you're losing it, you're losing your power. Okay, so when the economy had problem, you cannot try to restore the exchange rate or stabilize exchange rate. Okay, it's also suggesting that you may actually incurring debt. Okay, you're having problem with over indebtedness. Okay, over indebtedness. Okay, in debt. It means that your debt is too much. Okay, and you may not be able to pay back. Okay, so the official balance settlement, okay, would tell us some of the very important piece of information. So when it is negative, it's mean that your country is having some kind of problem. Okay, so I think that is the thing that the official reserve, how important is the official reserve transactions, the balance of the in this kind of official transactions, okay, and what kind of message that it tell us, or what kind of signal that it tell us. Okay, so if we see that our central bank like NBC is accumulating more of the foreign reserve, it means a good sign. Okay, because we are building our reserve, which we can use to influence exchange rate if some economic problem happen. Okay, however, if we see that the official reserve balance is running down from 1 year to the next year, okay, for the last 5 years, then it could mean that there's some problem. We are having some trouble because we are losing our foreign reserve, okay, which is not a good thing. So would you have anything, any question or any point you feel you want me to clarify again regarding this slide? Hello, good evening, Muni and Muni, are you there?
Yes, like.
Yeah, any question regarding the balance in the official reserve transactions?
No, for now, later.
Okay. For other the people in the class, you have anything you want me to clarify again? Okay, sound silent mean two things. Okay, one thing mean you can understand, the other thing mean not yet. Okay, maybe you are in processing. Okay, so if you don't have any question, we can take a time and looking at our balance of payment for our country together. So this is the balance of payment for our country, for Cambodia. Okay, and I get this from the website of the NBC. Okay, you can try to visit the website. You can looking for this balance of payments. So let's see together. What I have here, I have it from the year 2010. Okay, 2010 here. So each year, okay, and up to the year 2017. Okay, so each year I have one balance. Okay, one information. Of course, NBC also have monthly information. Okay, they have from January up to February, March, until the end of December in each year. Okay, you can have that kind of information. But here, I like to aggregate them. Okay, sum them up into only in a single years. Okay, so let's see our payment comes. So unit here is in billion real. Okay, billion Cambodian reals. So the number that you see here is in Cambodia billion real. Okay, so let's begin. So the first thing we can look at our current accounts. Okay, of Cambodia. So you can see first. Let's take a look at the merchandise export and import. Okay, we see, for example, in the year 2010, our country export about 16 billion, 16,000 billion, which is about 16 trillion real. Okay, to the rest of the world. Okay, that is the amount that we export in the year 2010. And in the year 2010, we import. Okay, we import about 27 trillion Cambodian real. Okay, so we see that our country, we import in larger value than we export to the rest of the world. Okay, so in terms of our merchandise trade balance, we are a country that export less and import more. And if we see that by the year 2017, okay, you can see that the situation remain the same, except that the export have increased to about 45 trillions. Okay, and import also increased to 62 trillions. Okay, so it's still we import a lot than we export. So the balance, you see that balance is minus. Okay, so the negative here mean that we export, okay, less, but we import more. See, over the year from 2010 up to 2017, we still have the deficit in our good merchandise trade. Okay, looking at the service, okay, we see that in the year 2010 we export, okay, service that we export is about 8 trillions. Okay, so the size of service trade is much smaller than merchandise trade. The value is smaller, but we export 8 trillions and we import service of about 4.2 trillion Cambodian real. Okay, so we export more. Okay, in terms of service, we export more. And we see in the year of 2017, we do have the same situation. Okay, so this is the size of the service that we export, and this is the size of the service that we import. So the balance in the service trade account is surplus, okay? Meaning that we export more service than we import. However, if we compare to the merchandise trade in terms of good, okay, physical goods, we see that the service is much smaller, okay, comparing to trade, a merchandise trade. Okay. If we combine the good and the good and service together, so we can have this balance. Okay. So you can see the balance is negative. So in other words, we have deficit account regarding our trade. Okay, either the good, merchandise, or service, we do have negative balance, or the deficit account, deficit balance. Okay. So would you have any question regarding this, the export and import in the current accounts? Please let me know. No. Good evening, Dane. Dane, are you there? Okay, maybe Dane is not there. Hello, Kiwari.
Yes, like this.
Any question regarding this information in our balance of payment for our countries regarding the export of goods and export of the and import of services?
Not for now, not for now.
Okay, so can you tell me, can you give me one example of the service that we export to the foreign countries?
I'm not really sure about the service, but for in terms of product, I think it's garment and rice, which are the main export.
Yeah, yes, right. But can you give me the example for the service? One example.
I think in terms of labor, like the
No, labor is
capital.
not the final good. Okay, it's not final good. Okay.
Hello, teacher. Hello, teacher.
Yes. What about
teacher,
if a Chinese, yeah, let's say a Chinese tourist visit Cambodia, Siem Reap, and eat Cambodian noodle? Okay.
yes,
Or he
yes.
may stay at a guest house owned by our people, our citizen. Is that we are exporting our accommodation service or our food service to them?
Yes.
Yes, lecturer.
Okay, so that is the example. Also, for example, let's say a Chinese investor want to transfer their profit back home to their country, and they have to use the service by the Aklida Bank. Okay, and Aklida Bank will charge them some fee. Okay, so we are exporting the banking service. Okay, for those foreigner, we are exporting our service to them. Okay. On the opposite, when we talk about import service, for example, you may visit Bangkok, okay, and you may stay for medical checkup. You're importing the medical services, okay, or perhaps you are riding the Bangkok Air, okay. You are importing the Thailand services. Okay. However, when the Cambodian Go Air is being purchased, the tickets being purchased by foreigner, we say we export the transportation service to the foreign countries. Okay, so I hope that gives you some sense of how the trade in services is. Okay. Any other thing? Any question regarding this current account export import of goods and services? Okay, so I mean everything okay. So if everything okay, we can move to the next element in the current account. Remember that the current account would have information on the export import, but it's also have information about transfer. Okay, so here I have the income. Okay, I have the have income transfer. Okay, so you can see that in the year 2010s, we receive, okay, the income that we receive from outside our country, from the rest of the world, that flow into our country. Perhaps our worker receive the salary from the foreigners, or we make investment and receive profit, and we transfer back home. It's about 0.6 trillion or 668 billion Cambodian real. Okay. However, okay, the income that is going out, okay, perhaps we pay to the salary for the foreign workers, okay, or the profit that is being transferred out by the Chinese or foreign company in our country is amount to about 2.3 trillion in the year 2010. Okay, so we see that the net income here is minus 1.7 trillion. Okay, in other words, we are experiencing more outflow of the income, okay, the primary income, to the outside of the country than we receive. Okay, but looking at the situation in the year 2017, we can see this is the income that we receive. Okay, it could be the remittance that transfer back homes, and this is the one that is outflow. Okay, transfer out of our countries. So the balance is negative. Okay, it have a deficit balance. So suggesting that the money that is in the category of income transfer are flowing out more than flowing in. Of course, for the most of the Chinese investor in Cambodia, we don't have law that prohibited them from transfer their profit or their remittance back homes. Okay, we don't have such law. So that's true. Okay, they earn money, they transfer it back home. Okay, that's the primary income. Let's go to see the second term is the secondary income transfer, or I may call that the ODA. Okay, this is the money that Cambodia receive through the ODA. Okay, so you can see that in the year 2010, this is the amount of the money that is being transferred in, about 4.6 trillion, and we can see that the money that flow out is about 104 billion. In total, the money flow in more. Okay, so you can see that our country is the country that we receive a lot of ODA. Okay, we receive more than we do provide some ODA. For example, when our government provide the donation to other country, okay, like in Sudan, in Africa, okay, to Myanmar, for example, all this we ODA that flow out, but we also receive ODA. Okay, so you can see that in many cases over the year, we are a country that receive more ODA than we provide ODA to the rest of the world. Okay, so now we have the export import of goods service, the transfer, and when we add them up, you can see we have the current account balance. So the current account balance is 7.2 trillion in the year 2017. Okay, so that now we finish the current account. Would you have any questions regarding current account? Please let me know. Questions?
Lecturer,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. So lecturer, so I just want to know how the government actually record or get all this data. So yeah, how can they get all this data and where they get it from? For
Yes,
example,
that's
like
very good. Yes.
yeah, especially for services. For example, like if I go to a restaurant, a local restaurant, and then I bought something, for example,
Yes.
like noodle,
Yes.
and yeah, so it's just a local restaurant. So how can the government get all this data in Cambodia?
Right, that's very good questions. Generally, if all the payment, I mean the settlement, okay, for the transaction is being carried out through the banking system. In other words, when you pay, okay, by your Visa card or your credit card, those information will go through the bank, okay. For example, when you use the ABA Visa card, we can know, okay, how much is being spent, okay, for that kind of transactions. Okay, so mostly when the information is being settled, being paid through the banking system, the NBC can try to collect information from all the commercial bank, because generally all commercial bank in the country would have to report, providing reports to the NBC. It's required by law, okay? So they have to report, and NBC will try to compile that, okay? For the export and import, the NBC may try to get the number from the custom departments, okay? And balancing it, okay, with the information they have in the commercial bank, if the payment is being carried out through the commercial bank, okay? But the basic benchmark is using the custom report department, okay? Because the custom department, they may have better value of export and import, okay? And it can be benchmarked with the information you have through the banking system in the countries. And as I said in the beginning, that there always the error, okay? You see already there is the error, okay? You can see the error here. We call the discrepancy or the errors. This is meaning that sometimes we cannot record, okay, all of the information, because sometimes information actually is not being carried through the banking system, and you have no way of knowing that, okay? For example, when you work in South Korea and you get a salary and you bring it back home, but you put in your pocket and coming back home. So the central bank may have no information about that, okay? However, if you transfer using things like Western Unions into the other bank account, then we may have, the central bank may have information about that. Okay, and for the ODA, the NBC may try to get this number by working with the other state aligned ministry, okay, like the Ministry of Economy and Finance, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, okay, in order to benchmark, okay. But mostly if the money is being transferred through the banking system, for example, when China give the ODA, they may do it through the China Bank or whatever bank, okay. And because China Bank is locating, okay, it's a foreign bank but located in Cambodia, it's supposed to report information to the NBC, and they do have that kind of information, okay. Benchmarking with information from the line ministry that involving in each responsible authority, okay, and the NBC can try to come up with the numbers. So Kham Ho, I hope that would answer to some extent to your question, because it's quite complicated, because I'm not actually detailed in that, because I'm not the one who working in this kind of area, but that's how the system work, okay? Because I used to attend some of the meeting with the NBC, okay? So I can only roughly know the process that they try to come up, okay, with this number, with this statistic, okay. So hopefully that can give you some sense of how the work is being done. Okay, it's complicated, of course, but because they do have a system that they have been done, they have the connection with line ministry, with the banking, the commercial bank in the countries. Okay, so it's easy to come up, okay, with these numbers. Kham Ho, is it okay?
Yes, lecturer. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. For other students, you have any question regarding this current account before we move to the next account? Okay, so now if you don't have question, I think you may feel, right, how important is the information in this balance of payment, especially in current account. You can see what does it tell you. Okay, do we a country that receive more money from ODA, or we give more to the rest of the world? Do we export service more or less? Okay, and where you can find information, it's in the balance of payment. Okay, so let's move to the next account. We call the capital account. So as I say, that capital account is actually, it contains very small transactions. Okay, and it referring to something that transfer of asset that is not going through the market. Okay, that's what we talked last week. So you can see here we have the capital transfer. This is referring like something like debt forgiveness. Okay, the debt. Okay, debt forgiveness. Okay, so when a foreign country decide to delete, okay, or exempt our debt payments, because when you borrow money from the foreigner, you have to pay back, okay, the loan and interest payment. So sometimes the foreign country may kind enough to delete that, okay, or forgive it. In that case, we record as the credit, okay. So we see this is the number, okay. You can see over the year where we do have something like the China delete the debt payment, Russia delete debt payment for our country, and so on. Okay. However, we don't have information for the debt that we delete for other country. Okay, because no country borrow money from us. Okay, we only borrow money from other countries. So we don't have much information for this the capital account, but it's quite small value. You see, only 1.4 trillions. Comparing to other account, it's much small. Okay. The next thing is the so in other words, looking at the capital account, we can see that we receive more capital flow in through the capital account. Okay, through debt forgiveness and some kind of assistance or the ODA, which is in the form of capital. Okay. The next account that I'm going to talk, okay, is called the financial account. So for Cambodia, the financial account, you can see this is the we have three. We have the direct investment, we have the portfolio investment, and we have the investment and the official reserve account. Okay, that we just talked in the previous slide. Okay, so we have four big categories. Okay, so let's take a look at the direct investment. So you can see, let's say in the year 2017. So the value, this is you can see that minus, okay, minus 465, meaning that this is the value that our people invest abroad through direct investment. So they may go to invest overseas. Okay, we do have FDI that outflow. For example, we have the Klina Bank that invest in Myanmar. They invest in Love, PDO. Okay, this is an outflow of the asset. Okay, so we record as the minus here. Okay, and you can see here we also have the FDI that is inflow, and that is about 11.2 trillion. This is a Chinese investment that FDI that flow in our countries. Okay, so we are a country that receive more FDI than we have outflow FDI. Okay, this is quite contradictory to China. China have the opposite. Okay, so that is the direct investment. And then we have the portfolio investment. And you can see the portfolio investment. We have this, the minus here is referring to the outflow, okay? So our people may invest overseas. For example, we may have Udom who may buy Toyota share, for example, okay? So the money flow out, okay? But we own that Toyota asset overseas, okay? Or perhaps, let's say, money, okay? Money by the US government bond, the treasury bill, okay? So our people own asset overseas, and we record as that minus, okay? So that's flow out. However, we don't have information about flow in, okay? As you can see, we don't have information, okay? So that is the portfolio investment. And then we have the other investment, okay? And lastly, we have the official reserve. You can see we have a minus, okay? Minus here. So a minus and increasing, okay? So the reserve asset, the official settlement balance, which we talked in the previous slide, in the beginning slide in today's session, referring to that our central bank is owning or accumulating more of the foreign reserve, and that is located abroad. So our NBC may own some US dollar, which is deposit at the US Federal Reserve, or maybe Singapore Bank, okay, or the Vietnam Central Bank. We may have our dollar there, and that belong to us, okay? It just located abroad. So this is a good sign, because over the year from 2010 to 2017, we see that this reserve accumulate, okay, increase. So that's a good thing. When we try to add up all these four account, we can get the balance for the financial account, okay? You can see the balance for financial account, okay? And then we can make some error adjustment, okay? So that we add up to 0, okay? And then we will have information. So you can see that if you're looking at the financial account, we can learn that our country is the country that is receiving more inflow of foreign investment, and foreigner is owning more of our asset in the countries. Okay? We also see how is the reserve that our central bank is trying to accumulate, and we see that it's keep increasing over the years. Okay, so I think that's all. Would you have any question regarding this financial account, and any key term or key word you feel you want me to explain again?
Teacher, I have a question. So can you
Yes, Ravi.
clarify in direct
What
investments? Yes, can you hear me, lecturer?
Yes, yeah.
What I want to know, what are the difference between direct investments and portfolio investments?
Okay, that's very good questions. Generally, when we talk about the direct investment, okay, let me try to clear this up so you can easily see. Okay, so when we talk about the direct investment, we're referring to something that is a long term, okay, long term, and direct in management, okay, direct management, okay. So this is direct investment, referring to a kind of investment in which you will go to invest there, okay, and you build a factory, you set up the system, you hire workers, so you manage everything, okay. That's called direct, because you involve, okay, a lot in managing your investment. That's called direct investment, okay. So when the company like a minibar, okay, or like that come to invest in Cambodia, the Japanese company, or the the Ford company you want to invest in Posat, for example, for assemble the car. This is called direct investment because they build the factories, okay? And because building the factory, set up the system is actually a long term, okay? It costs a lot of money. You cannot easily move away. When this crisis happen, it's very difficult for you to leave the countries because everything is there, okay? For example, consider like Aeon, okay? Aeon is also a kind of direct investment because they set up a system, everything, they build the building, they construct the buildings, they install a system, they hire workers, okay? This is called direct investment, okay? What about portfolio investment? This portfolio is referring to the indirects, okay? Indirect. Okay, so in portfolio investment, you don't involve a lot in the management. Okay, for example, okay, when you buy the stock, okay, stock, or you buy bonds. Okay, when you buy a stock of a company, let's say you buy the stock of Toyota. Okay. Okay, let's say you buy stock of Toyota. So you become the owners, okay? You become the owner of the Toyota company because you own their stock, okay? So whenever the company make a profits, you can claim the dividends, okay? You are the owner. You're supposed to receive information about their profit and loss every year. And every year when they have a meeting, and usually to vote for the board of directors, the CEO, you can vote because you own the stock, you own the company, okay? However, you don't involve in management of Toyota, okay? You don't know whether Toyota hire Mr. A, Mr. B, okay? What kind of system they install, okay? You don't involve in that. So we call that indirect investment, or we call portfolio investment, okay? So portfolio investment sometimes tend to be very volatile. They can move out of the country very easily. For example, when there's a crisis, you want to sell out your stock and then you fly away to your home countries. Unlike the direct investment, because you build the building, then you have to stay long, okay? So that is but both of these provide you the capital for investment in your countries, okay? It's just different. One is direct, the other is indirect, okay? Wari, of that information,
Yes,
the explanation, okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so the last thing we can check, okay, in order to make sure that it's equals 0, is that we let's check this one, okay? So let's go back and let me clear this up, okay? We will take the balance of each account, okay? So let's say in the year 2017, this one is the balance. The balance in the current account is minus 7.2 trillion, okay? And we can see the balance in the okay, this is the balance in the capital account, okay? Balance in capital account is 961, and then we can add with the balance in the financial accounts, okay? And then you can add up with this error adjustment. You will see that the number would be 0, okay? Because we say that the current account plus the capital account plus the balance in the financial account, okay, plus error would be 0. Why? Because the approach that we record is double entry bookkeeping. It will be 0. The debit must equal the credit, okay? You can check that by yourself, okay? If you don't believe me, okay? Take the number, add them up, and then you will see whether it's 0 or not, okay? So I think that's all for our discussion for this evening. Would you have anything you need clarifications? Please let me know. Udom, you there?
No, sir.
Okay. And Dalia, Dalia, any question?
No, sir.
Okay. And Chiu Ming, from Chiu Ming. Hello, Chiu Ming,
No,
are you there? Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, if you don't have any question, I think because I have some work to do. Oh, there's a question by Dom. Which country like to keep money at Switzerland? Well, there are many countries want to keep money at Switzerland. Okay, our embassy may also have the dollar deposit. Okay, at the Switzerland bank. Okay, so I don't have exact information, but I think many countries would like to. Okay, so if you don't have any question, I think I'd like to end the meeting here. We will meet again next week. By the way, next week we will have the group presentation. So what we do is that I will have lecture in the first sessions. Okay, it may take about 40 minutes, I think. And then in the second session, I will give the time to our group presenter. Okay. And then we will have the breakout room and so on, okay, followed after the group presentations. Okay, so if you don't have any question, I'd like to end the meeting here. I'll see you again next week. Have a good evening. Enjoy your dinner with your family. Have a good day. Goodbye.